121 for the candle lighting blessings, and I'm going to invite our board representative for tonight, Steve Lissman, up to make the candle blessings for us. Unfortunately, we don't have the lighter up here at this point, so
we'll use the
limited
matches.
to candles.
So we'll use the matches. You mean?
Yeah, matches.
Okay. Let's start right here.
Yeah, sure.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Everybody's wondering how long will it take this guy to do. Try again. Try again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvasav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you. 18 Shabbat blessings for peace in Israel and Palestine. May this light embrace all who are suffering through war. May this light spread and reach toward the hostages and their families, wrapping them in a protective embrace. May this light illuminate paths of safety and shelter for the people of Gaza. May this light shatter barriers separating food and aid from innocent civilians. May this light open space for the people of Israel and of Palestine to process their grief and anxiety. May this light break open the barriers in our hearts. May this light soften anger and fear. May this light erase thoughts of revenge. May this light give us strength to stand up against extremists in power. May this light hold gently the traumas of our past and the traumas of our present. May all the people who call Israel and Palestine their home come together to grieve and witness each other's pain. May we transform our grief into solidarity. May our solidarity pave the way for a shared future. May we nurture the divine spark in ourselves. May that spark shine out to include our families, friends, neighbors, and all who live on earth. May the divine light from before creation inspire us to choose life. May this light empower us to build the future we want to see. May this light guide us on the path toward healing and peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Is it now?
No, after the second blessing.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvasav v'ratzav anu v'shabbat kodsho b'hava uvratzon hinachal Einu zikaron lemaseya vireshit. Ki yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litzias Mitzrayim. Kivonu varchata v'avonu kidashta mikol amim. V'shabbat kodshecha v'hava uvratzon hinchaltonu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
You can just put it back down. Thanks, Steve. Yasher koach. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
All right, folks, we're going to continue on page 138. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor b'dibur echad hishmianu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet ve'elitila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala la 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haveracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maseh v'machasha v'techila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala la 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela Mikdash melech, ir melucha, kumitzei mitocha hafecha, rav lach shevet be'emek abacha, vehu yachamol, Allah yikem lalecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yamin usmol tifrotzi meyet Adonai taritzi al yarish men partzi venismecha venagila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala la 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzola toch emune am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala la 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. All right, folks. If you're in the book, Yedid Nefesh is in the back at page 636, or you can look on the slide. Yedid Nefesh, Yananaya Varachaman, Meshoch Avdecha, El Retzonecha, Yarutz Avdecha Kemo El mulhatorecha yeravlo yedidutecha minofetzuf mecholtaham hadur nae yananai ziv haolam nafshi cholat avatecha Simchat olam vatik yemuna yananai rachamecha v'chusana al beinahu v'cha ki ze kama niksof lirot betiferet uzecha Ana elichem dat libi chusana יגלנה, ינאי ופרוס חביב עלי, את סוכת שלומך. תאיר ארץ מכבודך, נגילה ונשמחה בך, מהר אהוב כי במועד, וחוננו כי מעולם. Yada da 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 da, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na, yada na 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 na. All right, folks, we're going to turn back to page 140 for Psalm 92. Mizmor shir liyom hashabat, tov lehodod lahadonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon, lehagid baboker chastecha, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי אסור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך רנן. מה גודלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Right, and now we will turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech malachi hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech malachi hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzitchem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi melech malachi hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. All right, folks. We're going to turn to 145 now. Let's read together in English. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Let's turn to page 146. Please rise if you're able and comfortable doing so for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vahed. folks, feel free to have a seat. And let us read together on page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hamari v'ravim. All right, let's turn to page 150. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadata. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu uv'kumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam v'oed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negeh yomam v'lala, v'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. All right, folks, we're going to turn now to page 152. Please rise again if you're able and comfortable doing so for the opening of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. All right, folks, feel free to have a seat, and we'll continue on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'hisharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim leloheichem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Let's turn to page 157. We'll read together. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael. All right, we'll turn now to page 161. Let's read. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. All right, we're going to turn to 162. Yismechu ve'malchutcha shomrei Shabbat ve'korei oneg hamekadeshei shevi kulam yisbeu ve'yitangu mituvecha Yismechu ve'malchutcha shomrei Shabbat ve'korei oneg hamekadeshei shevi kulam yisbeu ve'yitangu mituvecha. All right, we're going to turn to page 164 now. Please rise if you're able and comfortable doing so for the beginning of the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agiti latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham B'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye Metim atah Rav Lahoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye Metim Berahamim Rabim, Sehomech Noflim Verofech Oholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umino melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'nemanata lahachayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hametim. All right, folks, feel free to have a seat. We're going to turn to page 171. Let's read together. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, How filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. All right, let's turn to page 173, and again we'll read. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. We're continuing on 174. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu b'yamcha Yisrael, utfilatam b'ahava tekabel, utehil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, el karov lechol korav, pnei lavadecha v'chonenu, shefok ruchacha aleinu, v'techazena einenu b'shuvcha letzion barachamim, baruch atah Adonai amachazir shchinato litzion. All right, let's turn to page 176. And as we do for the Thanksgiving blessing, we're going to begin by reading in English up at the top here, and then if you'd like to share something you're feeling grateful about this week, raise your hand, and Robin will get the microphone around to you presently. So let's read. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks.
Okay, I have to turn around so just make sure that she can hear me. Where'd she go? Oh, you're down there. I'm extremely grateful to Roz for helping me organize the class this week when she absolutely, for her faith in me, when she had, as she said last Friday night, that she had no idea what I was doing. So I'm really grateful because she did all the organizing. She did all the hard stuff. I'm also grateful for the people who attended the class who seem to like it so much they want more. So that's my fun. So thank you, Roz.
Thank you. Alan and Maureen.
I am really, really thankful that we had a great cruise and had a wonderful time. And I'm especially grateful that even though I came home with a really unwelcome souvenir like COVID, it was a really light case and I'm already negative. So it came and it passed.
I'm glad to hear you're feeling better.
So I have to give special thanks to Rachel because I really didn't do anything. She's the one that organized the class and helped people to understand what we were going to do. And everybody produced the most interesting pieces of writing that really inspired people to want to come back and do this again. So we are going to have 2 more sessions that we already signed up for. And I think it's going to be a success because when Rachel does those things, they're always a success.
Well, apparently neither of you did anything, and yet it turned out to be a wonderful program. That's wonderful.
I'm very pleased. I got word yesterday that my cousin, her cancer is now in remission. So I'm very, very pleased to have heard that.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you. All right. Anybody else with a hand up on Zoom that you can see, Evan? All right. We'll read down at the bottom. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulchana elehodot. All right, let's turn to page 179 and we'll read. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. All right, folks. folks. We'll take a moment now for our own personal prayers and reflections. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru amen. All right, we're going to turn forward now to page 371. For our healing prayers this evening, we are praying for Raphael Alieri, Kathleen Al-Jalad, Terry Bennett, Elsie Deutsch, Betty Doer, Lee Foreman, Jesse Gilliland, Robin Haas, Jean Hecht, Sharon Kirshheimer, Holly Levine, Gwen Levy, Mike Martinez, Corey Mongan, John Muller, Rowan Nocholino, Deborah Pomeroy, Grayson Porter, Derek Real, Bryce Schmidt, Sherry Schwartz, Shmuel Emmett Ruvain Mibet Avraham Basara, Orly Shower, Jennifer Stile, Liz Sussman, Rabbi Lance Sussman, Timothy Swindell, Elena Witter, and Gil Williams. And if you'd like to add someone's name to our healing prayers, just raise your hand. We'll get the mic around to you.
My sister, Robin Orden.
Thank you. Mi shebeirach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Praying for a refuah shelema, a complete and speedy recovery to all those we're holding in our hearts this evening. All right, folks. So, pretty exciting. This week we are beginning the book of Devarim, of Deuteronomy, which makes this Parashat Devarim. These are the words that Moses spoke to all Israel. Israel said, "Yesterday you were saying, 'I am not a man of words.' And now you are speaking so much." Rabbi Yitzchak said, "If you are a stutterer, recite the Torah and be healed." Moses had already learned the entire Torah. In the wilderness in Arava across from Suf. This is what the verse means when it says, "Then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the mute shall shout aloud." This is a midrash from Midrash Tanchuma on Devarim. And I think this midrash is really interesting, and I'll tell you why. We naturally tend to assume that because someone is doing something, maybe doing something pretty well, that must mean that that person is good at that thing which they are doing. But I think it's actually a little more complicated than that. I think there are a lot of people out there doing something they have no natural gift for, and which they are not naturally inclined to do. And yet they are doing a good job at it, because it is something that needs to be done, and like it or not, they are the person who needs to do it. Moses, I think, is someone like that. He tells God, I am not a man of words, not in former times, and not now that you have spoken to me, for I am heavy of mouth and heavy of tongue. That is his experience, his reality. And note the way that he frames this, that God simply speaking to him and giving him this mission does not suddenly change who he is. He has not been a man of words in former times, before God has made this call, and he is not a man of words now, after God has called upon him to do this thing. And yet, with the kind of irony that seems to characterize such things, God has singled him out as a messenger and a leader and a teacher, all roles which will require him to speak quite a bit. And these roles will come to define who he is as a person for most of the rest of his life. What the Midrash makes clear is that Moses' role has come to define him so completely in the people's eyes that they do not recognize that this is hard for him, that this doesn't come naturally to him. This isn't necessarily what he would have chosen for himself. If you want textual proof of this, outside of the Midrash, in the scriptural text itself, take a look at every single rebellion that the people stage against Moses and Aaron. The pattern generally goes something like this. The people get discontented, and so they assemble against Moses and Aaron, and what do they accuse them of? They say, you wanted all the authority for yourselves. You wanted to be the leaders, and you're seizing too much authority for yourselves. That's the accusation. But that accusation is kind of absurd when leveled against Moses, because he didn't want it in the first place. He doesn't want to be doing this job. It's been given to him. And the fact that the people accuse him in that way when they're discontented indicates something very important, which is that they fundamentally do not recognize that he's doing this job because he has to, not because he wants to, or because he's actually fundamentally any good at it. There's that thing that the people say in the Midrash, right? The Midrash imagines Israel saying, yesterday you were saying, I'm not a man of words, and now you're speaking so much, right? So we can interpret that in one of two ways, neither of which are particularly flattering, right? One way in which we can interpret that is to say, yesterday you were saying I'm not a man of words, but clearly you spend a lot of your time and your work talking, so therefore that must have been a bunch of malarkey when you were saying that. Clearly you were lying. You are a man of words. This thing that you are reporting where you are heavy of mouth and heavy of tongue, this is a load of malarkey. You do not have this impediment you say that you do. We know because you're doing the thing anyway. So in that way of interpreting it, he has this impediment, but the people refuse to recognize it because he has to do the thing anyway and somehow make do. Or we can look at it the other way, which is still not particularly flattering. The people are saying, yesterday you were saying I'm not a man of words, and now you are speaking so much. Well, if you have such an impediment, you're not very good at speaking, so please stop speaking so much, right? Either of those things is not particularly flattering to Moses. And neither of those things is really recognizing the truth of who Moses is, of why he's doing this thing, right? And the importance of the fact that sometimes because the world is the way it is, sometimes the task falls to a person who does not necessarily have a natural gift for that thing, and sometimes those people, with the help of heaven, have to find a way to transcend that impediment in their day-to-day lives, in their day-to-day work. I think there are many people like Moses in this world, people called to some work for pure and upright motives, who are faced with some impediment and who get on with it anyway. It isn't as if the impediment simply goes away. Rather, to put it in terms that speak from our tradition, those people receive support from heaven in facing those impediments and dealing with those impediments from day to day. They utilize skills they do have in order to supplement skills that they don't. They make use of whatever tools are available to assist them in the things that are difficult for them. And when necessary, they grit their teeth and they push themselves through something that is a tremendous lift for them because there's no other choice but to try. I think this is what Rabbi Yitzchak is really saying about the power of Torah. Remember, he said, if you've got a stutter, recite the Torah and you'll be fine. It isn't that Moses' impediment has vanished, but the greatness of the work he's called upon to do, the greatness of the message he's called upon to give is so great that he transcends his limitations and he finds a way. To paraphrase a teaching from Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, one who seeks to transgress, heaven will provide them with an opening, and one who seeks to do good, heaven will assist them. I say all of this as a reminder that disabilities and impediments of all kinds are not always completely visible from the outside. Even if they are visible, we're not always able to see the entirety of what they are and what they mean for the person in question. And we should never contribute to the burdens faced by another by our refusal to accept and recognize the burdens they already face. But I also mention these things as a source of encouragement for all of us who may be reluctant to step forward and tackle something, some calling, or even just something they might like to do, by the mistaken belief that you have to possess some pre-existing gift and be free of impediments in order to do something, even to do something well. Moses is inspirational as a teacher and a leader not because he's naturally good at these things, but because he isn't. And yet he does them anyway. With God's help, may we also be blessed with the courage and determination to do what needs to be done despite the obstacles, both internal and external, that we find in our way. So the primary question I have for us to consider tonight is, what's something you've done that required you to transcend some limitation or cope with some impediment? I see Rabbi Rachel's hand going right up. Or also, right, what do you make of this midrash, right, and what it's saying about the people and the way they relate to Moses? Do you think that they recognize Moses' impediment and maybe don't want him to be so talkative given his difficulty speaking? Or do you think that they're not recognizing his impediment, and are simply refusing to acknowledge that entire aspect of his situation and the challenges that he faces in his life? Let's pass that mic on over.
So I was laughing through most of your sermon, mostly because Moses sounded exactly like some things that I did with the Federation. I never wanted to be executive editor. I have a hearing impairment. I can hear some better with the phone with this now, but I did not want to be executive editor. And they tried a couple of things, and finally I was doing the job, and it needed to be done, so I accepted the position. I can still tell you all the things which I won't tonight, of that I think it would have been better if they had someone who didn't have a hearing impairment do it, but I worked around it. I would not have any meetings with people that there wasn't another person there. I did not have phone calls that there wasn't someone on speakerphone listening. And I mean, I even had things where we did with one client when they had a new Federation executive director, got with a meeting and then talked to my staff person afterwards who had also been on it. and discovered all the stuff that I had missed because I just didn't hear it. That was before Zoom had the captioning. But they needed someone to do the job. And my staff heard that more and more. And then it was the same kind of thing, like where I know that some folks often acted like I was the reporter when I had staff who made it possible for me to do what I wanted, what I did. I couldn't do it without it. And if I hadn't had somebody help me, especially when I just had the hearing aids, understand speech for phone calls and things, because, you know, the stuff, you can't pick up the phone and just schmooze with somebody. It's got to be meaningful. And thank God also for email. So you've got something written down that you can have the words. But I just called when you didn't want to do it. That was me.
Thanks.
So I just want to say that when Rachel was in this situation, we were working together at the same time in 2 different offices, but across the hall. And in all the time that she was adapting to this situation, it was always kindness that was there. Whatever people did to help her, she was gracious about accepting the help. So when people did something, they walked away feeling good about what they did. And that was a very important thing.
Thank you.
Most of my life, I have not been an extremely good writer, unlike my daughter, Leah. And I had no clue as to what last Wednesday night was with Rachel. It turns out that it sounded very interesting, and then we were supposed to take some paper and actually write something. And I said to her, I said, I'm really not really good at this. I find it very difficult to begin. And her suggestion was, just start writing. And I did. And things just came to me. And it felt like a miracle. But it was great. Thank you.
I'm so glad you had that experience. Yeah. I guess it is. All right. Yeah, please.
The story of Moses reminds me of the story of pretty much everyone who has Asperger's, what used to be called Asperger's. It is a disability that most people don't see the details of, and you have to work very hard against the disabilities to just present yourself in public or have a job or have a conversation. It's extremely subliminal, I guess. So yeah, that's one that people often misinterpret in various ways.
No, absolutely. And there's a great deal about, this midrash, I think, which speaks to what people in the neurodiversity, circles call masking, right? That tendency of people who have certain differences in the way they think or the way they act, right, to find ways to mask those differences in order not to receive social stigma, right? And then having to cope with the fact that they don't get any support as a result of the fact that they're masking so well. And it's a tremendously difficult dilemma for people in that situation to be caught in. So thank you for sharing about that, talking about that. All right, anybody else have something they want to share before we wrap it up? All right, I don't see anybody else's hand up. So thank you everybody for your great comments, and let's wrap it up for now. We're going to turn to page 587, and I'd like to invite you to rise if you're able and comfortable doing so for Aleinu. And Steve, would you mind opening the ark for us? Thanks. Bless you. Good deal. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. All right, folks, feel free to have a seat. Page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. We're going to turn now to page 598 for the Mourner's Kaddish. And this week we are remembering the yahrzeits of Melvin Banditson, Anna Grover, Marilyn Marvin Goss, Ida Topping, and Irving Jaker. Please rise if you're able and comfortable doing so for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bialma divra hirute v'yamlik malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dachol beit Yisrael, ba'galau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shemei Rabba mevarach le'alam ul'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'alev v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'riku. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, da miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May their memories be for a blessing. All right, folks, feel free to have a seat. I'm going to invite Steve back up to read the announcements for us. I've got the thing printed out if you want.
Thank you.
Thanks. No, mostly the stuff that isn't like every week. So, this kind of stuff.
Okay. So I'm looking at Tuesday, July 21st. I'm skipping over now, being hosted by Linda and Steve Listman because you're here. So let me just mention also there are evening Onags after services on July 24th and 31st, sponsored by Sisterhood. On July 21st, we have the Social Action Committee meeting. They meet the third Tuesday of every month. Contact the Temple office or co-chairs Phyllis Weinstein or Deborah Saltzman for details. Sunday, July 26th at 10:30 a.m., Feed the Hungry at Trinity Memorial. Temple Concord Social Action Committee has a partnership with Trinity Memorial Church at 44 Main Street in Binghamton. Several times a year, we prepare and serve a Sunday luncheon at their church. We meet at Trinity Memorial at 10:30 a.m. to prepare the meal, serve the meal at noon, and finish up by 1 p.m. And the Social Action Committee welcomes you to get involved and participate in this project that addresses a critical need in our community. Temple Concord is also supporting Southern Tier Aid Program's clients by providing household supplies. STAP, which is the acronym, invites congregants and friends to engage in acts of tikkun olam. the repair of the world by connecting with our community through service and action. We are collecting cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels for our neighbors across the street in the gray building at the Southern Tier AIDS program. Your donations will directly benefit STAP's clients. To participate in this important mitzvah, please deposit these items in the marked box in the temple lobby. If you prefer to make a monetary donation so we can purchase these products, reach out to Phyllis Weinstein directly. Thank you for helping out our local community. In addition, we encourage you to help us seek new opportunities to engage in social justice activities and welcome your input regarding populations who could benefit from our help. Please contact Debbie Saltzman or Phyllis Weinstein with your ideas and questions. Come garden with us. Join our great group of folks who are making our grounds look wonderful from spring through fall. Contact the office if you'd like to join our crew of volunteer gardeners. Due to illness, the listing of mazel tovs has been temporarily suspended. In the interim, please contact the office if you have announcements that you wish to appear in a future mazel tov list. During difficult times, we're here to support you. Please contact Rabbi Leah or the temple office. If you or a loved one is experiencing serious issues, is hospitalized or moving to a healthcare facility. Also, please let us know if you're aware of anyone in the congregation who could use some pastoral support. That's the only way the rabbi's going to know, if you let her know. Looks like that's about it.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
You're welcome.
So I have only two things to add to all of that. Thing one is we were talking about ideas for, further ideas for helping out in the community. I want to mention one that we're going to be sending out a separate announcement about, but one of our own, Tara Schifrin, right, who is a student in our Hebrew school, currently studying for her bat mitzvah. Her mitzvah project in the coming year is going to be, there's a hygiene products box at the public library where people who are in need of those products but can't necessarily afford them, or it's difficult to get a hold of them, can come and get the hygiene products that they need. And so Tara came up with the idea that for her mitzvah project, what she wants to do is to collect hygiene products for the hygiene box at the public library. So before too long, you may find out that there will be another collection box in a different part of the front hallway with a sign with explanations on it. And just in case you don't understand what's going on there, I wanted to give people the heads up that very soon that will also be something where we're looking for donations to help Tara with her bat mitzvah project. And the only other thing I'm going to mention is to remind people that the high holidays are coming up, and one of the various ways in which people can help to support their community for the high holidays, there's lots of different ways, but one way is we are currently looking for more people to join to sing with our high holiday choir, right? Obviously, not everybody has the same level of musical experience or music reading. It's a very accessible choir. There's a lot of tools in support to help people learn the music and to kind of get on the same page. Professional level singing is not necessarily required or expected. If you think you might be at all interested in helping out your congregation in this way, I encourage you to direct your contact to Ross Matteo. And we have already had a couple of announcements go out about it by email, but we'll be sending out another one again pretty soon. We're going to finish up here on page 625 with a Don Olam, and then we're going to head into the social hall for a little snack. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Koyim לעת נשא וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשיל לו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה. והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי ביצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא. בידו הפקיד רוחי, בעת אישן ויעירה, ואם רוחי גוויתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. המוציא לחם מן הארץ, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Shabbat shalom, guys.
Shabbat shalom.
Susan, how are you? There you are.